this breaking news story with Mikee from SD Fish and Sips. Lost at sea, missing at sea right now. He called in yesterday with a mayday around 12 noon, and he was about 8 miles offshore around Bahia Ascension, and we have not heard another word from him. And it's massive, the amount of boats that are involved in looking for him. And on the line right now, we have got Jeff Lingle. Jeff runs a yacht out of San Diego, California. He is very well connected with government officials, Coast Guard, and everything else. I believe he's down there around Playa Socorro, about 140 miles down the beach. I see a lot of comments here. I want to thank you all, but I want to get to Jeff while we have him on the line. He's kind of tuned up on the very latest and see what we can do. Jeff, do you read me? How you doing, my friend?
Hey, guys. Hey, Friedman family. I wish it was better situations that we were talking today, but just a bad situation all around. I believe it was more around 2:30 local time yesterday in Baja, and when they got the Mayday call, and they say that they spoke to him for several hours off and on trying to save battery on his boat and on his VHF. They don't know whether the battery ran out on his boat or the battery was running out on his, I guess he had like two batteries, one that kind of ran the electronics and one that kind of ran his motor and stuff when he needed things like that. And I think it pull starts too, so there's no telling what went wrong with his motor, but it was definitely something wrong with his 6 horsepower motor that went out.
Is that the initial problem? The motor went out, and is that when he put the Mayday out?
Yeah, the motor died, and I guess he had been trying to hail a couple of the guys that he kind of knew around there, and he wasn't able to get a hold of them. And then he was trying to conserve his batteries and trying to figure out the motor, and he waited, like about 45 minutes, and then he tried again, and then he finally just gave up and called in the Mayday. And I guess he messed with the boat motor for several hours, and he even had somebody trying to help him fix it, and they couldn't figure it out.
You mean so somebody verbally telling him what to do on the radio?
Exactly, yeah. Somebody over the radio trying to tell him how to fix it or whatever. So.
And Jeff, what was his weather like at 2:30 in the afternoon? What was the weather like in that area yesterday?
I was a little up the line, so I'm not positive the exact conditions, but I'm sure they were very similar in the 10 to 11 knot range of wind, and probably about 3 foot swell at about 11 seconds.
Yeah. I was a little bit optimistic, and I'm going to remain positive and optimistic when you told me that he talked into the night. And so it made me think he's still at least in the kayak, and maybe there's been some fog, I know, up and down the Baja coast. Maybe they're just having a hard time finding him. Does that give you any feeling of optimism at all? I know we're getting to an iffy part of the day here. We only have a couple more hours of sunlight.
Yeah.
Did you feel optimistic? Do you feel optimistic?
I mean, of course, because I'm a friend of Mikee, so I feel optimistic and very hopeful, but I'm also a realist with the sea, and I just think he needs our prayers, and we got to think the best. And there's a lot of assets that are there on the scene right now. There's about 60 to 80 local boats that are looking, and there's even more that are on their way. And there's the big air support is what they need to really hammer this down. And the trouble is the visibility has been terrible, and anybody that's seen what Mikee goes in, that solo skiff, it's blue in color and the water's blue. And then if he's in dark clothes with a dark life vest on, that's even darker yet, and his motor's black, so that all blends in with the water. So I think it's just me. I'm just hopeful that they're not able to see him, and that they're gonna find him hopefully today or tonight or even in the morning. They say they're going to look as late in tonight as they can. So,
but pretty much when the sun goes down, it's very difficult to locate somebody on the water.
Almost impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, they did it with searchlights last night. I heard they were driving around with big sodium searchlights trying to find them. And I don't know. I just think probably the best bet is when they get more air support, and it's supposed to be a clearer day tomorrow, which is a good thing. It's supposed to not be cloudy early, so they should be able to get up right at the crack of probably about 6 o'clock in the morning or so.
Yeah. Are there any air assets down there right now, or is it too foggy to do any of that kind of?
They had two private air assets that were on standby today, but they weren't able to get them up because they just didn't feel they'd do any good with the visibility. Because I guess when they get in the air and they look down from any height, you just can't see that well right on the water. So they went more with just boats today. But they got more assets in the aspect that they're going to be able to figure out the wind and current and go off of its final location and plot that out a little better that they've been going on today. So they should have a better game plan for tomorrow. Is the hopeful.
Roger that.
Outlook.
Hey, Jeff, why don't, if you don't mind, why don't you take a moment and tell us about your friendship with Mikee? I know I've met him. I've had him on our show. He addressed the fact that he had some addiction problems. He overcame those problems. He became an inspiration to many people out there, including yours truly. Whenever I run into somebody like that, he becomes an inspiration. Tell us about your friendship with Mikee.
I met Mikee down on the docks about, 4 or 5 years ago, and he saw us wheeling some tuna up and stuff, and he was asking, about what boat we were on and whatnot, because that's what he does on his Sunday things. And of course, doing what I do, I wasn't able to really say, and then I had to pull him aside and say, hey, Mikee, I can't really be on camera saying what we do and everything. So I explained to him off camera and explained that, we're the Department of Defense and we do this for our clients so they can safely have a recreation and whatnot. And we became good friends, and I would give him, dope on, where I'd see fish and where they were biting and, for his reports and stuff. And we would talk almost every week. I mean, real good guy. I mean, I know Nom's pretty broke up. That's probably his best friend in fishing, and I tried to get a hold of him earlier, but I couldn't. I guess he's probably on his way down would be my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a down-to-earth guy. I recently spent a whole day with him on board, I forget the name of the boat right now, but down in San Diego, we went with the guys in the wheelchairs.
It was on Liberty, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't the Liberty. It was the...
Dolphin.
The Dolphin. Thank you. You got a better memory than me, for God's sakes. And it was just such a really special time. And the time he came here to the studio and we did that podcast, I thought that was an amazing podcast because of Mikee. And then he showed up recently at our surf fishing event, and he couldn't be more humble and more nice and want to meet people. And oh man, this is a tough one, man, so far. I'm keeping positive here. I'm praying.
I am too. I don't want this to turn into anything other than positive thoughts, because I mean, until we know anything otherwise, that's what it just is. And I do know he always had plenty of water on the skiff with him, so that's the biggest thing he's going to need. And I know he always took plenty, so that's a good thing.
That's really good news. I'm happy to hear that. He can always catch a fish if he needs to eat something.
Yeah, he knows how to make ceviche, that's for sure.
Yeah, but having water, of course, is so very, very important. 8 miles off the beach in that boat, is that pushing the limits to that kind of a boat, would you say, getting out there that far? He's probably as sage a waterman as I know. Yeah.
I mean, And I wouldn't think that he would have gone out yesterday and gone anywhere that he didn't think that the conditions would merit. And my thoughts is that he always would want to come in before it was getting late, and he probably had been fishing and he went to turn the motor on and it just wouldn't start, is my thoughts. And the tuna hadn't been biting real great in that area this fall yet.
Yeah.
And so I think he was more probably going, probably to Golden Reef or somewhere like that to try and get yellowtail, I would imagine. And I just wouldn't think he would have gone much further than 8 miles, but that's still pretty far. And that little skiff, that's probably an hour and a half ride for him to come back in.
Yeah.
In those conditions. And the good thing about that skiff, though, if anybody knows, is that it's self-bailing and it's almost impossible to sink that skiff.
That's great.
So I really think he's got to be floating on it. I mean, there's, unless he just got a rogue wave of some sort that knocked it off. Oh, I know the one thing that I haven't added is that they did do an AT&T search of his phone, and his phone was turned off, which probably meant that his battery was dead.
Yeah.
And I know that because there were no pings in the last 24 hours as of this morning. So
yeah. That sounds like a dead battery, right?
Yeah, that's what they were thinking it was. That he didn't have his phone on, so that's why we haven't heard from him either, is because of that. Because any 911, if it can pick up a signal, will grab that.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that leads me to be more optimistic. We're not hearing from him because something's happened to him. Maybe we're not hearing from him because his battery's dead.
Exactly. That would be my thoughts.
Yeah. Jeff, I talked to Sherry Bondi down there at the La Bufadora Hotel. Wonderful
nice
person.
lady.
She loves, of course, Mikee very, very much. And she told me that the entire community down there is mobilized. You mentioned that there's 80 local boats, and she said these guys are, they're fueling up. They're paying all their own expenses, and they're all out there, all for the love of Mikee and trying to get out there and find him. And, man, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, there couldn't be a better fleet of guys that know the water to be looking for him. So I do know that the wind and current was going in the opposite direction when this happened. So that can make it kind of tough to know which way to go, because you don't know the drift. The guys wouldn't really know the drift rate of his skiff, and what wind versus current would do to that craft. That's going to take the guys that do this for a living to find that.
Yeah, for sure. I consider you a big part of the Friedman Adventures family, and your expertise and knowledge, and you're so well connected. But more than that, you're a really, concerned, loving, good friend, and that means the world to all of us.
Thanks, man.
And I got to tell you right now, Jeff, there are hundreds of comments on this show going up. People just continue to comment, and it's all thoughts and prayers and love for Mikee. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I consider you a huge part of this whole thing.
Thank you, guys. You and Anthony are great guys, man. I appreciate the community.
Yeah, except for that Notre Dame thing, right?
Yeah, that's a little rough. And I still got to pay that. I still got to pay that off. I will.
No. I think you've gotten out of that now. I think you're okay. I'm going to call the Pope and see if he'll give you a dispensation. He may do that.
No, because when we beat you next year, you're going to be wearing USC.
I love it. Well,
yeah.
Anything else you can add? I guess it sounds like there's a lot of assets. There's more en route. How long does this normally go on for? How long will the search?
They're gonna continue in the search and rescue mode. They'll do that for up to 72 hours, and then after that, gets into recovery. So we got at least another 2 days before they'll get to that.
God, that seems. Does that seem weird? I mean, as a layman, I don't know that much, but people can survive for 10 days or longer. I mean, I hear stories about guys that been at sea for 6 months and they managed to survive. I mean, I know that's when they call those things off, but God, it just seems like he's probably in that kayak and that he's. Go ahead.
Or what if he's Or what if he got in a boat that's going to a different country even, or something, that was in there fishing and grabbed him, and they don't speak the language, or there's a lot of things that could have happened that we don't that's in God's hands. So we can just be hopeful.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, the best thing is that there's been zero signs of wreckage, like anything floating, and he had all kinds of, that little door where he kept his bait floats.
Yeah.
I've seen it come off before. There's not been any of that stuff found. There's not been, so we have every right to be optimistic at this point.
Yeah, and of course, we all want to send our love and our thoughts and our prayers to his family, to his loved ones.
Danny, and that his brother's a real good guy. Helped him through a lot of hard times. Man.
Yeah. This is a tough one, isn't it?
It's a brutal one. And a tough one. I mean, I didn't even notice a couple texts about it. Even when we had talked early this morning, I didn't even see it until later, and then I was like, oh crap. And well, they weren't taking it that serious until, later last night, because they thought they'd find him for sure.
Yeah, thought he was either going to be found or just late coming back in or whatever.
Yeah, out of gas, you know, just floating, and they just had to find him. And then now when they haven't found him, that's when they're getting a little more nervous.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff, anything else you'd like to add? Anything else? I'm not gonna. I won't schedule another update for today. We'll do another one tomorrow, and with your permission, if you could join us, this has been remarkable.
I absolutely.
If you do hear anything, let Anthony know. We're going to be doing a live show tonight, but right at the end of that live show, we'll go live with you again. If for God's sakes, please tell me there's going to be some good news tonight. That would be fantastic.
I'm hopeful. If I hear anything, I'll let you know.
Jeff, God bless you. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
God bless you.
Bless you. See ya.
All right, Jeff Lingle, everybody. And, man, he shed some light on exactly what's going on. There are so many comments here. If you folks... I think for the most part, it's people who are sending their love and thoughts and prayers. I think Jeff answered most of the questions. I'm really not in a position to answer any, specific questions, and I don't want to speculate. I think we'll leave it here pretty much, and thank you all for joining us. And stay tuned for more updates. If there's any breaking news, we will let you know. There's only a few hours left of daylight right now, so let's pray that they can find Mikee before the sun sets here in the Eastern Pacific here, because we are all praying for Mikee. We are all praying for his loved ones, his family. Joe Russo came down here to do a special podcast with me. He's here. He wanted to hear what's going on with Mikee. He's very, very concerned, and there's so many of his fans out there, yours truly included, so many people that he has given inspiration to that are praying to the Lord above for a successful outcome to this. We'll keep you in touch. God bless you all. Thank you for joining us. And anything else happens here today, we'll be sure and let you know. God bless you all.